For Newsy, I'm Lauren Goris. A Florida high school student is facing felony charges after allegedly detonating an explosive device on campus. 16-year-old Kira Wilmot reportedly mixed some common household items in a water bottle, causing the top to fly off and producing some smoke. No one was hurt and no damage was caused. Wilmot told police she was just conducting a science experiment, but teachers said they didn't know anything about it. She was arrested and expelled from Bartow High School. By all accounts, Wilmot is a good student and gets good grades. Still, according to a statement from the school, Wilmot's actions violate the school's code of conduct, which states having a bomb or explosive device at school is grounds for immediate expulsion.
This is ridiculous because it's a perfect example of a number of different issues I have with our current education system. Zero tolerance policies, school to prison pipelines, and anti-intellectual curiosity. David Feldman, I mean, what do you make of this? When is this madness going to stop?
That's not a war on science, that's a war on black people. That is just, they have done studies, you know, the great Wayne LaPierre from the NRA is talking about putting more cops in our schools, and every time we have cops in our schools, more kids get arrested and get into the prison pipeline, and a preponderance of them are black or Mexican. This is just a way to get cheap labor, because a lot of our products are made in prisons, and we're building more prisons, and we need black people and Mexicans.
Yeah, we're building more private prisons.
Yeah. Who are taking our reservations for travel agents and airlines and building our furniture. There are 1 million people in this country in prison who are working below minimum wage.
Right. It's a great way to get rid of unionized jobs, find cheap labor.
Yeah.
I totally understand that. Private prisons are, I mean, that's a whole different issue that I want to dedicate an entire show to.
This is not science. This is just locking up a black kid.
I think at the micro level and an example like this, I don't think there's necessarily among school administrators a conspiracy going on. I think it's that our politics is so organized in this way that a school administrator says, well, listen, the explosion went off at the school, I better do something, or I'm going to get in big trouble. If I don't do something, then I'm going to get in big trouble.
Administrators and from the principals that are saying that this is overblown. Like they're backing Kira here. So I think the real issue is that legislation is in place that doesn't allow for any wiggle room here, that she had to be arrested because of what happened. Now, when I first heard the story, I immediately was like, this is ridiculous, and I posted it on my Facebook, and I was asking all of my kind of readers to comment, and I was talking to a lot of my science friends, and it's true. The reaction to this situation is all wrong. Obviously, I don't think this should have gotten anywhere close to legal action. Now, I don't think that this kind of behavior should, I mean, the problem is I think our reaction to it, we're so upset about it in the media that we're talking about it and saying, we're stifling this girl's scientific curiosity. I do have to stop and kind of question whether or not what really the motivation was here. Maybe it was just simple curiosity, but we should be teaching to do science experiments safely and responsibly. She should have been suspended. She should have gotten, you know, to work. She should have been told to work with the science teacher and do some sort of extra project and spend a little bit more time in the school. Obviously, it should have been handled completely differently. We're all upset, I think, kind of on the same page here about what happened to her. But I think that we need to be careful about being so upset by that we have this kind of attitude of all kids should just mix up chemicals in their garages without any supervision.
That's a fair point, but at the same time, I feel like this story is a perfect example of us broadening the definition of terrorism, right? Everyone's a terrorist. If something goes wrong, if something explodes, if you throw like pop rocks on the floor, oh my God, you might be a terrorist, we have to expel you, and you're facing federal freaking charges. That's not a joke.
She's facing federal
charges. She's a 16-year-old who has been great in school. Her principal loves her. She's not a threat to America. So I want to talk about the broader issue of what happened to this country after 9/11, right? Because it has changed every single element of society, including education. So David, jump in here and talk about zero tolerance policies.
Well, I think it's again, it's a reflection of, I think it goes back beyond 9/11. I mean, I think the whole mantra out of the 1980s about law and order, and with particular law and order aimed at people of color, then that becomes law and order aimed at essentially everybody, also in addition to and specifically with people of color, now Arabs, after 9/11, and that the way it works, I think, in a school administrator's mind, a state legislator's mind, a school board official's mind is, look, I may understand that in a situation like this, we need to have some sort of flexibility, but if I don't well, first of all, I may be legally mandated to have zero tolerance. But those zero tolerance legal mandates come out of a culture that says if you don't crack down hard, then you are weak on security, you're weak on terrorism, you're weak on protecting other kids in the school. That has been now built into our mind. There's an automated outrage machine ready at any moment to call anybody unpatriotic, weak on security, weak on protecting our kids.
But that outrage is fueled by fear. I mean, we have to remember, too, that this, I'm not saying it's appropriate, but this didn't happen just in the wake of 9/11. This happened in the wake of the Boston bombings and the Newtown killing spree. And so this is an area where parents want to feel like their children are safe, right? People are going to be even more uptight when we're talking about what's happening at the school when parents aren't there to keep an eye on their kids. And in the wake of the Boston bombings, I think everybody's kind of on a hair trigger when it comes to that.
Officials perceive, and I'm not saying they're wrong, they perceive that the public is too emotional, and that's the nice way to put it, or too stupid to understand the nuance of, hey, a bomb went off, it was a science experiment, it wasn't a terrorist. Well, the public's probably too stupid to think beyond just a bomb went off, I want somebody's head.
And what's so funny is that they're really, really wrong, because the public is absolutely outraged about this. Popular opinion is that this girl should be, I mean, there are, surveys all over the internet, protests, everybody's speaking up for this girl. Her parents, the administrators, teachers, science groups across the country, other students are speaking up for her.
Well, I certainly hope federal prosecutors are listening to what, public opinion is stating, because it's ridiculous. As I mentioned, 16 years old, she had a bright future, and I hope that we don't destroy it.
Watch list now?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
well, at least then she could still buy a gun.
Yeah,
right, that's true. That's true.
So
That's a
her
fair
rights
point.
have not been infringed completely.